Kesara. It is currently Friday, December 29th, and I'm currently reading these two books. I'm listening to the audiobook for House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, and I just started the physical book for The Rune of Kings by Jenn, Lyons. But we'll get back to those in a second. First, I wanted to address the fact that I haven't posted any videos in over a year, which is not how long I had planned for it to be. I've been through kind of a reading slump. I say a reading slump. I read like 27 books this year, which is good, but it's a lot less than I have in the past like 5 years or so, since like 2018 when I really got back into reading. So it's a little disappointing, but I'm super excited to get back into reading in 2024, which is part of the reason why I decided to start this channel again. I do think I might do something else on YouTube also, but I actually found that I liked a lot of things about my booktube channel. I'm doing it differently than I did it before, because before I did a lot of videos that I thought would do well on the channel that I didn't necessarily like doing. So for example, TBRs and book hauls always did well on the channel, but I didn't really like doing them. So instead, I'm gonna do videos that I like doing. So what I found, one of the videos that I really enjoyed making in the past were my reading vlogs. So that's kind of the style of video that I'm gonna do. Like my reading vlogs kind of look a little bit more like what a reading wrap-up would look like, but I know that I'm not reading as much as I did in the past, so I'll just be talking about partially what I'm currently reading, but also other bookish things that are just on my mind for that week. Obviously, this week, what's on my mind is the reading goals for next year. I actually set 2 goals for next year that could be kind of related to this. The first one is definitely reading related, and that is to read every day for enjoyment. What I found in the past is when I listen to audiobooks, I don't enjoy the books as much as when I read the physical books or read the ebooks. I think physical books and ebooks in general, you get the same information eventually. The only difference is with a physical book, you can hold a physical book up, and an ebook obviously is just digital. Personally, I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards the ebooks. That's actually what's kept me reading for the past year is the ebooks. So because of that, I'm gonna be leaning more towards those on my reading every day. So that's my first goal, is to read every day, and I want to read more on physical books. There are still some types of books that I would prefer to read on audio. Books that are like faster paced or easier to read, or just like atmospheric books I find really good on audio, especially if they have a really good audiobook narrator. But I think specifically the high fantasy that I used to love so much, I think I'm losing some of that love for it because of the audiobooks that I'm listening to. I think it's okay, like when I go back to reread the book, to listen to the audiobook as a reread, but the first time around, I want to read them as a physical book. The second goal for 2024 is to post 1 YouTube video per week. So I already know there's 1 week next year that I'm not gonna have a video for because I'm gonna be on vacation. Apart from that 1 week, I want to post at least 1 reading vlog type video per week for all of 2024. Now, I may post other bonus videos here and there. I may post some like book reviews and things like that. But for the most part, my plan is to do videos that are kind of styled like this, where I take clips from different days of the week, just about what the reading related things that I'm thinking about that week are. We can start with talking about the books that I'm reading. So the first one is The Rune of Kings by Jenn, Lyons. I want to read more fantasy books written by women, especially like higher fantasy books written by women. And so this is one that I decided to pick up. I literally just started it. I'm not super far into it at all. Wrong side. Dust jacket's on backwards. My bad. So I'm right there. So like literally like a chapter and a half. But I'm enjoying it so far, which is surprising to me because the first time I read this book, or at least the first time I tried to read this book, I didn't like it, but I don't remember why. I'm thinking maybe it was one of those ones that I picked up on audio, but I'm excited. I have like the first 4 books in this series. I don't know how I got them. This is the book hauls coming back. I do want to really get into this, and I'm hoping that this is a series that I can get like super into and just binge read the entire series, but we'll see. I haven't actually heard anyone talking about this series, so I'm hoping it ends up being really good. And then the other one I'm picking up is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. So I bought this book back when it first came out, hence the hardcover, because I remember liking the first book a lot until the very end. I really want to like this one as well. So far, I'm enjoying it. I've actually tried to read this one 2 times in the past, and both times I DNF'd it after like the first like 8 chapters or so, but I'm actually enjoying it a lot more this time around, so I'm excited to get into this. And also, the next book in the series comes out in January, so I'm hoping to have this done before the next book comes out so I can read that one as well. So it is Monday, January 1st, and I know I said I wasn't going to finish any books during this vlog, but I actually did finish one. I picked it up last night. It's called Nimona by ND Stevenson. So this is a graphic novel. I just wanted something kind of easy, and it was recommended by my library, so I decided to pick it up. I honestly almost DNF'd it like almost immediately because it was very cutesy, but it had like a humor to it that I really liked. It's about a girl that decides to become the sidekick to a villain. The part that was kind of funny, that kind of got me hooked, that kept me reading, was there was a point where he's like, oh, you're just a kid, and she's like, I'm not a kid, I'm a shark, and then she turns into a shark, which I thought was just hilarious. And then it actually does get to a point where it gets darker and has more mature themes towards the end that actually like tug on your heartstrings. So I did enjoy it a lot more than I expected, so I ended up giving it 4 stars. But what I really wanted to end out this video on is just to take a reflection of all of the books that I read back in 2023, because now it is 2024, and set my reading challenge for the next year. So I figured we could start this by looking at my Goodreads year in books. This is just not something that I've looked at too much, but Goodreads is like one of the few places that I actually record my books when I don't update my spreadsheet, which I did not update my spreadsheet at all in 2023 because it was a bit of a reading slump year for me. So we can see what I actually ended up reading. So this is my year in books for 2023. As you can see, I read 27 books, which is not bad, actually. That's a lot better than I was expecting. I kind of expected it to be really low. Well, I set my reading goal at 100, so it is really low compared to my reading goal. It's still a lot better than I was expecting. I was expecting like under like 20 or under 10 even. 27's not bad at all. So the shortest book I read was Saga. I'm not sure which volume that is. Actually, it's one of the issues because I read like issues, I think it was like 50 to 60 or something that I read, and then I'm gonna be picking up starting issue 61. And then the longest book I read was Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, and that's a reread for me. So my average book length was 420 pages, which is actually still really good. That's pretty high. My most shelved book was Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't have a lot to say about Eat, Pray, Love, to be honest. I honestly didn't know that it was nonfiction going in. I thought it was gonna be a fiction book, so I think because of that I was a little thrown off by it. My least shelved book is a Kindle Unlimited book, so it's a self-published book, I assume, and it's also not one that I finished. I think I put it as finished because I got like all the way to the end. I was like, oh, the story's done, but then like it kept continuing on, and I was just like, I really don't feel like reading the rest because the main plot line of the story is done, if you know what I mean. So I just didn't continue on with it. My average rating is 3.8. Wow. I did not like the books that I read apparently this year. Usually my average rating is over 4 because I have a hard time giving something less than 4 stars. So yeah, this is surprising. So the highest rating on Goodreads is Words of Radiance, which is 100% expected. I guess at the beginning of the year, I was rereading the Stormlight Archives. I think the reason I was doing that was I was trying to get back into reading, and it just like didn't work out that well apparently because I never got to Oathbringer. I think I still have it under my currently reading on Goodreads. So yeah, that's not great. I read Edge Dancer. Really did like Edge Dancer. I think this was the first time I read Edge Dancer. No, I read it last time too. Never mind. Then it was Charmed by Tracy Wolff. I honestly don't remember this book almost at all. Actually, I remember a little bit, and I just remember being underwhelmed by it. It's one of those series that like it ends each book on a cliffhanger, but then like the cliffhanger is resolved like pretty early on in the next book, and it's just like, why am I continuing to read the book now? So yeah, that's how I felt about that one. Then Well Traveled by Jenn. I don't remember reading this book at all. It's one of those like medieval festivals romance stories. I remember liking them. I probably gave it around 4 stars, but I don't remember it that well. The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik. That one I do remember. I remember being in like a similar vein to Charmed, where like there was a cliffhanger at the end of the last book and then it got resolved pretty early on. So then like I didn't care that much about the rest of the book. I mean, I didn't really like the series that much to begin with, so, I mean, it was fine. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is another one, like, I feel like I was trying to get back into reading, and, like, it just fell short for me. I remember liking it as I was reading it, but then, like, completely forgetting about it afterwards. So, yeah, I honestly don't have a good review for that one either. Night Flyers by George R.R. Martin. So this one I remember because I was going to read the book and then watch the TV show, and I actually liked the book quite a bit. There's one moment in particular in this that I was just like, and it was great, but it was kind of boring leading up to it. Actually, there is one character that I really liked. She was like this just really strong female character that I really, really liked. And then there was that one moment that just like hooked me on the rest of the book. But other than that, I didn't really like that much. And then I really hated the TV show, like really hated it. So yeah, not that great. How Not to Die Alone by Logan Ury. It's an interesting nonfiction. I picked it up because I think it was like Ali Abdaal did a interview with her, and I just thought it was really interesting, so I wanted to read her book, and I liked it a lot. Oh, this whole series, the Shadowbound Queen series or whatever, that's like Kindle Unlimited series, I wanted to see if I would actually like Kindle Unlimited books, because I felt like a cheaper way to get books if I ended up liking a lot of them, and I honestly didn't like at least this series that much. It was another way of me trying to get back into reading, and it just didn't work, so I canceled my subscription on that one as well. Then we have Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't remember this at all, but I liked it enough that I decided to pick up her other book, which is Eat, Pray, Love. And I remember that one a little bit more than Big Magic, but I remember thinking that they kind of talked about the same things, both Big Magic and Eat, Pray, Love. The difference is Eat, Pray, Love is kind of more of a story of something that she did, while Big Magic feels a little bit more like a self-help novel, if that makes sense. 0 Days by Ruth Ware. I actually really liked this one. So this is one that I can definitely recommend. It was completely different than any other Ruth Ware book that I've ever read, and I did listen to this one audiobook, and Image in Church obviously is fantastic. I enjoyed every second of this, and I think it lasted like half a day. Like, that's how long it took me to read this book. So I really enjoyed that one. Then Tom Felton, Beyond the Wand. I was getting a lot of like YouTube shorts about him. I guess my library picked up on that and recommended me this book, so I decided to read it. The thing I found was interesting was a lot of the YouTube shorts, I feel like, come straight out of this book, but are like taken out of context. So I'm glad I did read the book to get the actual context of like some of that stuff. It's not that big of a deal. It's about a bunch of kids who were actors as children. I thought it was interesting. And then Starry Messenger by Neil deGrasse Tyson, kind of along the same lines, where I decided to pick up the nonfiction because I was getting a lot of like YouTube shorts content from him. I honestly did not like this. I think part of it is like, again, I got all the content on YouTube shorts already, but the difference with this one is that the content was actually coming from the author on YouTube versus from other people like reading the book and putting it on YouTube. For that, I just felt like I got the content twice, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. Also, like, the name of it is Starry Messenger, so I felt like it was gonna be more about astrophysics, and it most definitely is not. And then Fourth Wing, the one that actually did get me back into reading. So this one, I didn't know at all how popular it was, like that it's gone viral and all of that stuff. My library just kept recommending it to me. Like, my library just kept recommending it to me. It wasn't anything else. Like, I haven't been like on YouTube or TikTok or anything like that, but I was like, you know what, let me pick it up. It's like a Dragon Rider story, whatever, and I ended up really enjoying it. Now, I did think that it was kind of cheesy here and there, and I also really don't love like the two love interests where one is obviously like not right for you because he doesn't like give you the freedom to do what you want, and the other one does the exact opposite, right? So like I kind of like got annoyed by that because it felt a little preachy to me, but at the same time, like, it actually got me back into reading. Like, I read this book, I want to say about a month ago. So all the rest of these books that you see here are all from within that month. So yeah, I did really enjoy it, and I'm glad that I read it. That being said, I also did read Iron Flame, and I did not like it half as much. It was fine. It wasn't that bad. It was just, I still had all the same problems from the first book, like parts of the world building and things that I didn't love, but at the same time, I felt like I didn't like the plot as much. Part of the reason why I liked the first book too is because it ended on like a little bit of a cliffhanger that I didn't fully see coming. I didn't feel that way about Iron Flame at all. I honestly don't remember the plot of Iron Flame that well. Like, I still remember Fourth Wing very well, but the sequel, not so much. Next is The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart. I enjoyed it. It was fine. The first book in this series was the most interesting to me because it had like an interesting magic system, but I feel like we never grew out of that first book. We kind of stayed in that same realm, in which case I would have preferred if it was just like a standalone, including all of this plot in just a standalone, or some amount of this plot. I didn't care for it that much. I feel like part of it's like I didn't care that much for the characters. The thing I liked the most about it was the magic system, and I feel like we didn't really get any increased interest in that magic system, if that makes sense. And then we have Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I actually really enjoyed this one. It was very atmospheric, and I wanted a little bit more from like the romance, because there is a romance. I either wanted it to not be a romance at all or to get a little bit more from the romance, and it was kind of like in that weird middle place where yes, there's a romance, but I didn't feel for the romance at all. So that's my only like criticism of it. Other than that, I really enjoyed it. It's about a house that is like a portal to another place. I don't want to say anything more than that because I feel like anything more than that, but I really, really enjoyed it. Oh, there are monsters coming out of the house. So it's like dangerous. And I kind of liked that like darker aspect to it as well. Next we have Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I'm sure I liked it when I read it, but I honestly don't remember anything about it now. Then we have Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. After this one, I have a love-hate relationship with this book because one thing I really liked about it was the magic system. Like the world building and the magic system, I absolutely loved. I even liked the writing style, but I absolutely hated the plot. I hated the entire concept of the plot. It was a battle royale. It felt a little too close to the Hunger Games for me, and I actually really liked the Hunger Games, and this one just didn't hit the mark. I feel like with any other plot, I would have absolutely loved this book, but with this particular plot, it just didn't work for me. We already talked about Iron Flame, so we'll go on to The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I will say I didn't like it as much as her previous series in the same world, but I did enjoy it a lot, and I'm excited to see the next book in this one as well. This one is the first book in a new series in Elfhame, which The Cruel Prince and that series was set in the same world, and I kind of liked the overlap. I like that we get to see some of like the previous characters, specifically Oak, I guess, is like the previous character, which he's kind of like the love interest, but it doesn't really feel like that too much in the first book, which I actually enjoyed. I think I still ended up giving this one like only 4 stars. I want to see more from it before I fully invest in this one, but I did enjoy that one a lot. And then of course we have Nimona, which I finished yesterday. So that is a total of 27 out of 100 books that I read in 2023. So I want to take a look at my reading challenge. All right, so this is the reading challenge page, which by the way, I really love the color for the reading challenge for 2024. It is just so bright and I love everything about it. So I'm setting my reading challenge. I'm gonna set it to 100 books again because I think I could definitely hit that, but we'll see the previous year. So you can see kind of some of my previous years. Obviously I stopped uploading in 2021 and I hit 85 out of 100 books in 2021, which it's not great. I did 48 in 2022, which is better than I thought I did. I thought I had almost read like pretty much nothing in 2022, but apparently I did pretty well. And of course 27 this past year. But my previous challenges, I did very well. So 2018, I did 178 books out of 100. I raised my goal in 2019 to 240 books, and I did 257. In 2020, I actually set it to 100, and then I hit it pretty early on, so then I put it up to 240, and I only got to 214, but I count that as a win because I still went over the 100. I kind of wish I went over the 100 in 2021. I feel like I probably could have done that if I had paid attention to it later in the year, but I definitely wasn't. Either way, I'm going to be shooting for 100 books again this year, and I definitely think I can do it, so I'm really excited for that. So that is all I have for today. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!